Alan says, prayer request that truth and honesty continue to spread across the United States like sunshine. You know what? On that note, it's not entirely related, but there's lots of stuff to talk about. So let's just jump into one of those particular topics that I want to share. I don't know if you've all heard this, but there's a big kerfuffle happening about the Epstein list. And this was supposed to be a list of his clients, the people that he invited into his home and onto his island, into his space to take advantage of minors, take advantage of girls, and to engage in acts of SA with young girls, with teenage girls. And this is one of those things. Like this was a pretty core issue for a lot of Trump's followers. This was one of those things that I think they believed would help drain the swamp. That the Epstein list had evidence on it, had names on it of people who were deep state agents. People who were part of the deep state who need to go. And Trump and his surrogates, they harped on this. They taught about this. We're going to release it. We're going to release the files. We're going to release the list. Those people are going to pay. Those people are going to get what they deserve. They're going to get what's coming. Those people who were propping Trump up all this time, those MAGA influencers, MAGA preachers, those MAGA commenters online, whoever they happen to be. This was a big deal, and this is what they fed the MAGA base. This is what they fed the everyday American, that when Donald Trump is elected president, he will release the files, and the hounds of hell will howl. These folks are going to get they're going to get theirs. Now, the big deal was the DOJ went, yeah, no list. There's no list. And the MAGA base was, pissed. They were really angry. They are really, really angry. And they were not just accepting that this was going to go away. They know this is not going to go away. It's for them. They did not want this to go. We want answers. We want answers. And despite the fact that they were having press conferences, Trump's, what are you still talking about Epstein for? He's dead. And what are you still talking about this for? And I can't believe we're wasting our time. With all the stuff that's happening in the world, you're wasting your time on this kind of thing with the floods in Texas and da-da-da-da-da. And the base was like, no, dude, we're waiting on the list. We're waiting on that list. Chop, chop here, right? Time's ticking. And then he kind of went on a rant. Not kind of. He went on a rant. This is from The Guardian. Trump calls Epstein conspiracy a hoax and turns on MAGA weaklings. You don't need to know this. It's just a hoax. I can't believe you've fallen into the trap that the Democrats have set. I can't believe he called some Republicans stupid. He called his base. He called his base. He called those loyal followers weaklings. I don't want their support anymore. If they're going to continue to harp on this, I don't need them. I don't want them. I couldn't afford them if I did. I've been thinking about this quite a bit. I've been thinking about this quite a bit because these folks have been incredibly loyal to this guy. When you're a celebrity, you can grab women anywhere. You can even grab them by the and they'll let you. They stood by that statement. They okay, you know what? Yeah, we don't like that, but we're standing with him because he's going to deliver on these files. He's going to help us. He's going to help us bring down the deep state. Okay, yeah, well, he put a hotel up here, or he did this, or he did that, or maybe he did something here, and maybe he did something there, and yeah, I see all these different things that he's doing wrong. I hear all these things that he's saying wrong. I hear the bitterness. I hear the vitriol. But you know what? We're going to stick with him. I know he calls women ugly names. I know he calls his his challengers and people that disagree with him. I know he gets childish with them, but we're gonna keep supporting him because you know what? He's gonna bring the deep state down. Yeah, we know who he is. We know what he's like, but we're gonna keep supporting him because he's gonna help us bring down the deep state. These folks are incredibly loyal to this guy. Whether you like that or not, do not dismiss their willingness to prop him up no matter what. They weren't going to go away. I don't think there was anything we could have said that would have, oh yeah, oh geez, that's a good point, I'm out. No. They were committed. They are invested. This guy represents something truly important to them. He is the purveyor of something that they feel is desperately needed in the nation. And regardless of who he is, regardless of his faults, we're going to keep supporting him because he'll do this thing that is essential for the health of our nation. And now he's calling them weaklings. Stupid. Telling them, I don't need you. I don't need you. You're not important to me. I don't need your support. I don't need your vote. I don't need your praise. I don't need you to come to my rallies. I don't need you to buy my perfume or my sneakers or my Bitcoin. I don't need you to buy my widgets that I'm going to be selling online here in the next couple of weeks. I don't need you. I don't need your money. I don't need your love. You're nothing to me. Two things on this. When you encounter someone who has to resort to calling you names, has to resort to telling you they don't need you, they don't want you, what you're encountering is manipulation. A person who speaks that way is trying to make you afraid of having to live this life without them. I don't need you. Go on. Oh no. Well, wait a second. I don't want to break up. I don't want to lose you. Not over anything. I don't want to lose you. Okay, I'll be good. I'll stop asking questions. Right? That's what that kind of language is representative of. That's what a person might use that language to inspire in their followers. Screw you. I don't need you. You're nothing to me. No, don't say that, please. I'll be good. I promise. That kind of language is that whole rant of his was about manipulating his base into getting back in line. That's what it was about. Stop talking about it. Get in line. Know your place. But the other thing that came up for me, in that, with that statement of his, especially when he was calling people stupid and calling them weaklings, it ain't weak. It is not an act of a coward or a weakling to challenge your leader, to ask questions of your leader. That is not something that a weakling does. That's something that a person who is feeling bold and courageous does. That's something that a person who is strong is willing to do. I'm willing. Listen, I love you. I want to follow you. I've given you this support. I've bought your perfume. I've bought your sneakers. I've bought your Bitcoin. I bought your steaks. I bought your university credits, whatever it happens to be. I'm with you. But I have questions. And the way you're moving, I need you to answer these questions. A strong person is willing to ask questions of the people they follow. A strong person is willing to ask questions of someone they admire, of someone who is leading them. And that's not just a Trump thing, okay? And that's not just a MAGA thing. It's an everybody thing. If you're following me and I say something that, yeah, well, geez, I don't know, Ed, ask. Ask me what is going on. Ask me what it is that I mean. Be willing to challenge me. If you're not willing to challenge me, you do me no favors. You do me no service. Okay? And that is part of the job of following someone. That is the part of the job of being a student, is making sure that you keep the teacher on their toes, keep the leader on their toes, keep them thinking, keep them digging, keep them exploring, keep them imagining. That's part of the job of the student, is to ask questions that keep the teacher looking. Right? Jesus has that great line, ask and you shall receive. Ask and knock and the door will be open to you. Right? The premise being, man, don't stop. Like in theology, for example. In theology, well, we come to this understanding of God. But don't stop. Keep asking questions. Keep pushing forward. This doesn't make any sense to me. Great. Challenge on it. Be willing to say, I need some answers here. That's just because you want answers doesn't mean you're weak. And just because you want answers doesn't mean you're faithless. Right? It doesn't mean you're an unbeliever. It doesn't mean you're disloyal. It doesn't mean you've jumped ship. What it means is, I love the person I am asking these questions about enough to ask the damn question. God wants us asking questions, okay? God absolutely wants us asking questions because it's the only way we're going to come to deeper and deeper understandings of God. As a leader in my church, I want my congregation asking me questions because that's the only way the relationship between me and them will ever grow. Challenging someone isn't a sign of weakness. It isn't a sign of disbelief. It isn't a sign of unbelief. It's not a sign of faithlessness. It's not a sign of cowardice. It means nothing except I love you enough to ask the question. I care enough to ask the question. I care enough to ask the kind of question that may require you to change directions and to get back in line, to toe the right line. Asking you a question. There are all kinds of great reasons. You know what? I can't think of a bad reason. I can't think of why it would ever be bad to ask a question of someone we're supporting, to ask a question of someone who is in leadership, to ask a question of someone who is in a position of authority, elected or otherwise. I can't think of a bad reason. I can't think of why it would be bad for us to ask a question, to have someone explain themselves in a deeper way. I mean, maybe it's how we ask the question, but we have the right. And I would argue we have the absolute responsibility to ask questions because it's the only way. It's the only way that light can shine into every corner of our life. It's another way for us to inspire growth and transparency. So if you're out there and I've always wanted to ask Ed a question. I'm concerned about this, or I feel, ask. I'm fine with it. Yeah, maybe it dings my ego, in which case I probably got something to work on there, right? And so your question helps me figure that out. Perhaps you asking me the question and me giving you the answer, maybe that helps to solidify, to nurture, to strengthen the bond that's between us, the trust that's between us. If you have an elected official, a person of authority and stature, a person of power in your community, ask them. Ask them the questions that come up. That's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to ask those questions when they arise. It's not weak. It's strong. It's not cowardly. It's bold and courageous. Amen.